that gas is not smoke, right? That is actual oiling electrolyte gas releasing a combination of toxic, flammable, and explosive gases. All right, looks like we had a good failure. Well, defining a good depends on your perspective, but from the demonstration perspective.
My name is Eric Frederickson. I'm with Call2Recycle. We are a nonprofit who's worked on behalf of industry for over 30 years to help communities, companies, and individuals get batteries out of the waste stream. We are funded by industry to run take-back programs at places like Home Depot and Lowe's. So if you buy a drill battery or something with a battery in it, that company contributes a little bit to our nonprofit, and we run our collection programs. For about the last 10 years, we've increasingly used the things that we've learned over the last 30 years to help businesses manage the batteries and the risk associated with the batteries in their waste stream. For anybody who saw the presentation, No Sparks, No Surprises panel yesterday, we work a lot on logistics, transportation, and a big portion of what we do involves burning batteries because we have to ensure that the packagings that we use and the products that we put there out in the world don't just meet the requirements of the regulation, but actually provide some practical risk mitigation and safety. So, on the safety topic, a couple of things to be aware of today. So, we've got a good breeze going this way. So, show of hands, who has seen a battery fire before? Who knows what this is going to smell like? All right. So, for those of you who know, there's a high degree of variability. Lithium-ion batteries are predictably unpredictable. So, we had a pretty small, we had a pop yesterday, and then we had a good fire and some flare effect yesterday afternoon. So hopefully we get something that puts off a little bit of a show. If the wind starts to shift, please start to move away from the wind because we've got some hydrogen, we've got some HF, we've got a variety of toxic gases that are in a lithium-ion battery fire. So we don't want anybody to have any exposure to that. It'll dissipate in the atmosphere pretty quickly, but if the wind does shift, please transition away from the wind. What we have here that we're going to burn today, these are 4 18650 cells, 18 millimeters across, 65 millimeters tall. This is a very common cell configuration. Each 18650 has between about 10 and 15 watt hours worth of energy in it. The little flat lithium-ion battery pack in your cell phone has about 15 to 20. So there's about 4 cell phones worth of energy, but it's only about a half of a laptop worth of energy. It's about a quarter to a half of one drill pack worth of energy, right? So we've got 40 to 60 watt hours here, a drill pack maybe 140 or 200 watt hours. An e-bike battery is going to be 600 to 1,000 watt hours. Right, so if you imagine what we're going to see today with 40 watt hours to 60 watt hours versus 1,000 watt hours, a EV is going to have somewhere in the range of 75 kilowatt hours, so 75,000 watt hours. A Tesla full battery pack has about 7,000 individual cylindrical cells, and we got 4 of them here that we're going to burn today. We're going to turn the fire on, or turn the heating element on. It's going to get up to about 500 degrees, and we'll kind of talk through what's going to happen as it's warming up so we can see what happens. I'd also like to have a word with an introduction from Ryan from Fire Rover. They make some fire safety mitigation products. He's a really great practical expert in the area of not just battery safety, but helping understand the industry trends. Does a really fantastic annual report each year on fires, not just battery fires, but fires in the waste industry that I really encourage everybody to check out. So thanks for participating today, Ryan.
I appreciate it, Eric. Thank you very much. And honestly, when we look at it, my last report was, basically I used the word "we are at war," right? And the reality is that the waste and recycling operators are victims, right? We're getting these batteries on our doorsteps every single day, and we're fighting them on the front lines. We've been doing this for 10 years, but I can tell you that the way the trends are going, we're seeing more and more of these batteries causing more and more fires in all different occupancies. So, one of the things that we always look at is that, now that we're seeing that this is actually hitting the public, the New York Fire Department is really doing a lot with education. And one of the things that's really important, like we're talking about something like the vape effect, which is something that's big, right? We're seeing that there's a number, if you look at Altria's K1, they have 6 million folks have moved from traditional cigarettes to disposable vapes, but really they should be called single-use vapes because they're rechargeable, but they only have a certain amount of material in them, and there's not a lot of drop-off points for them. So we've been working with Call2Recycle and others and everyone in the industry to try to get more convenient locations to drop off so that we're not seeing these things come into our waste stream in the incorrect ways, and reducing contamination and also risk to everybody that comes. So Call2Recycle is doing an amazing job. We need more places. So all the EPR that you guys are hearing, make sure that you're supporting that. Make sure that there is some investment in protecting the firefighters and training them on these types of fires because they're happening more and more and they're not going away soon. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And this is going to be an amazing event.
Could be amazing. Or we could just have physical. All right, so can't answer this question if you've seen any of our other 2 battery burns that we did yesterday, and we've actually got 1 more battery burn this afternoon. All right, so somebody needs to set a timer for us. It should be 2.5 to 3.5 minutes here. What are the 5 parts of a lithium-ion battery? Really any battery. Somebody name one of them. An anode. All right, so we have the positive part of the battery, the anode. What's the negative part of the battery called? Cathode. The cathode. We have an anode and a cathode. What sits between the anode and the cathode?
Membrane.
The separator. What flows back and forth between the anode and the cathode? Electrolyte. What is the whole thing wrapped up in?
Casing.
A cell casing, right? So our 5 parts: anode, cathode, separator, electrolyte, and casing. What's happening right now, this is 4 18650s, 100% state of charge. We've got a heating element that is going to get up to 500 degrees pretty quickly. It is going to melt the separator between the cathode and the anode, and then all of the electrical or chemical potential energy between the two is going to combine together very rapidly. For the chemists in the room, I know that I'm oversimplifying. It's going to combine rapidly and convert to heat energy. So we're going to have a pop when the vent releases. So we should have 4 pops. We're going to have a little bit of smoke at first. That smoke is not smoke, that's actually electrolyte coming out. And then we'll probably have some off-gassing and some flames that come out. That will be the actual gases within the battery burning and the electrolyte itself burning. You generally get a bit of a Roman candle effect. Now, one of the things that you'll see, they don't burn for very long. But if you get this on your tipping floor with your mixed metals or your mixed recyclables, the biggest fire issue that we're getting in the non-battery recycler space is from the Class A fires that get started by the lithium-ion battery. So identification, separation, segregation, increasingly the fire safety community is coalescing around the idea of letting things burn, because you can oftentimes put a lithium-ion battery, it's challenging to put a lithium-ion battery fire out. You generally actually don't put the fire out. You just cool it off to where it stops spreading. And then you eventually have cells that have been damaged but not gone into thermal runaway. They've been heat exposed. Versus letting an entire battery burn in an isolated, controlled manner does help mitigate the risk. But so there's our first vent. Lithium-ion vent pop. Lithium-ion batteries are required to have venting. As part of the transportation and testing regulations, lithium-ion batteries are all required to have a vent in them. So that vent is going to require some off-gassing. We've had 1 vent pop.
So one of the things that Eric said, which makes a lot of sense, is that like typically what happens is with a lithium-ion battery, you get like an immediate 3,000 degree jump right there of heat, and then it'll dissipate over time. So UL's come out and basically said that you have less than 1 minute to respond to a fire with the lithium-ion battery. So the reality is, as long as it doesn't have material that's collateral, that's going to start to burn, like Eric was saying, and some other type of like accelerants around it to let it burn, you should let it burn out and make sure you get out of the house or get out of whatever area that you're in. You really don't have a lot of time, and it won't burn forever. It's the ancillary fires that you get, the collateral fires that you're getting, that are really causing some of the main damage.
I think we've got one more good cell in there.
And just when you think you have it out, that's when that is in a pile, and now all of a sudden you get your secondary and your third and fourth and all the different, packets.
So you can see a pretty good period of time between the two. So you can see a bit of time between the first rapid disassembly and the second rapid disassembly. So as Ryan was saying, you'll think that you'll have a fire out, but there's still enough separator damage to where you have heating and then you have a rapid disassembly or an explosion. Another thing of note, we're doing this outside. Every 18650 can put off about 8 liters, so almost 2 gallons of flammable gas. So if you look at an e-bike battery with 100 of these in it, or you look at an EV pack with 7,000 in it, and you think of the quantity of flammable gas that can be put off. So things like venting, even in transportation and storage and safety, are a really important consideration. There's a term that those of us who work in battery end-of-life management have had to learn from the fire community, which is deflagration. That's an accumulation of explosive gas and that rapidly ignites and explodes. So I think that's all we're going to get today. So really appreciate everybody coming out. Happy to answer any questions.